Good afternoon, KW Prosperity. It is Matt and Mary Beth here with John Rondi from Harbor One. John, thanks for being on the call.
Thanks, guys.
Welcome.
Mary Beth and I felt that we would start doing these Mortgage Mondays, where we'll be bringing our vendors on Zoom for the time being and just kind of talk about what's going on out there. And so to start, John, I know there's a lot that happened this weekend between the governor issuing the lockdown, essential business,
Right.
non-essential. So what I want to do is I just want to talk about what the day has been like for you since these announcements have come out, what your process has been with
Sure.
people you've been talking to and all of that.
Okay. Well, first of all, this is a great exercise to go through, right? It fills the gaps and makes us all feel a little bit more relevant in our what's not normal workflow. So this is kind of nice that you're inviting me to do this, and I appreciate it. I thought I was going to be the only mortgage guy you're going to be talking to, but all right, I'll be one of whoever. My ego's in check
You're the
now.
best for today.
The best for today. Well, am I the first of the
Yeah.
Mortgage
Yes.
Mondays? Oh,
Yes.
then there you go.
Right?
Very good. Selfless plug, Harbor One, the bank
That's right.
that I work for. And to answer some of your questions, what are we doing? There's a lot to be said about how each business entity is taking care of their own business, right? And we happen to be a bank that is lending its own money, and we were 100% prepared for the world that we're living in that everyone, loan officers, processors, underwriters, those people that are handling a lot of the logistics of closing and post-closing, every one of our staff is prepared for this. And the timing was such that it was pretty good. So we haven't skipped a beat. I just saw an email this morning. My underwriting term times are 1 day.
Wow.
When I say to you, our volumes I can't even tell you how many fold they've increased. On a normal basis, if, as a loan officer, if I were to write one loan a week, the past 2 weeks, I would say to you, probably your average loan officer is writing anywhere from 4 to 5 loans a day.
Mhm.
So the inquiries were very high, and the process, because of a lot of the economic news that came out with the Federal Reserve doing their part in lowering the overnight lending rate and some of the confusion of that, right? People hear Fed lowered rates, they correlate it directly to interest rates being lower.
Mhm.
That's a whole other subject we can kind of talk about, but that's not the case. But in any event, the phones ring, and when they ring, now it affords guys like me who are out here and girls like me are out here in the mortgage world a chance to talk about what's important and what's relevant. And so, but to that end, it's business as usual for us. We are reaping the benefits of, again, selflessly being an industry that's going to be busy and has our client base to service, and we're doing it. So,
I'd like to just ask John something, because John's been in the business for a long time, right? John, how many years have you been in the business?
Going on 30 years.
Right. So you've seen a few shifts, and you
Yes.
also were through 9/11.
Oh yeah.
And
Yep.
So Bill kind of touched on this the other day, and I think you could probably speak to it a little bit more knowledgeably in the mortgage realm, is what is the difference about this time than those times?
Sure. So 2008, the real estate bubble broke. And in 2008, I personally felt like the world was falling in on all of us, right? Literally, not to make light of that or any of the other episodes of things that had occurred in the past decade. The difference today is, while there's a lot of financial concern and no one has any real experience with this, it's unprecedented. I have a lot of friends that are high cash currency traders and asset managers and the like, that they can't figure this out, right? So all we are doing is waiting for the dust to settle, waiting for certainly something that we all know we can't control to find its course, and as they are suggesting, certainly get that curve to flatten so that we can get back to a place and then be a little bit more comfortable. But yeah, in the tenure of 30 years in doing this, there's always peaks and valleys. One of the things that I've shared with some of the people that work with me is we need to just maintain what we can and control what you can control, right? You guys talk about this, and this is part about being a leader. We don't want to panic. We don't want to overreact. We don't want to all of a sudden feel like, the industry is such that it's no longer going to be the same forever. We'll come out of it, and we'll each find our own way in the interim of how to, stay relevant and be top of mind with all of our clients, right?
Now, John, would you say there's any frequently asked questions you've been getting over the weekend, things that buyers are asking you that maybe you can prepare our agents for hearing some of those questions?
Sure. So there's two things, and I'm glad you asked this. So one is, will the bank be ready to close? Right? Will we be ready to do this? And when you say that, I have one person in particular, first-time home buyers, that are nervous to begin with, and I'm certain that everything I say to them, they're hanging on to my words, right? Because it's that delicate. So I don't take that lightly. And with true sincerity, the answer is simple. We're going to be ready. The bank is going to be ready. The money's going to be there. It'll close. The title companies and the vendors that we use and the attorneys that we use, we already have them on an approval list. So they know how we do business. And some of those title companies are doing electronic signatures. They're taking what is normally in New Jersey. New Jersey is a wet signature state with recording of the deeds. You know that, okay?
Yep.
So what are they doing? Well, they're taking electronically right now scans, and they're recording them, and then they're holding the wet signatures until such time that they'll submit them. And their side of the business is such that they're also being provided some latitude with that, so that if there are any errors or omissions as they begin to get heavier with their own volume, they're going to be safe. There won't be penalties imposed on them and that kind of thing. So that's one component of the things that come up. The other thing that comes up is interest rates. So interest rates prior to this whole thing breaking, I'm going to go back about 2 weeks ago. So about 2 weeks ago, the 10-year long bond was over 100 basis points. It was like 105. And at 105 on the long 10-year for us is the benchmark by which banks kind of measure what they're going to put the money out to the consumer. We were at like 3.25, 3.125. Fed dropped the rates to zero. Rates today on a conforming $350,000 loan amount, $400,000 loan amount, rates today are over 4%. That's a huge flip on, top of your head, 180-degree turn. So that has a lot of them concerned. And the one thing that I'm certain where we're positioned, again, I'm not trying to make a selfless plug, but this is the reality of it, right? The reality is I work for the bank, and when you have your own money and you portfolio lend, you can control some of this. So I have two products. If it's a 30-year, 15, 20, regardless, those products that are portfolioed that are $500,000 or higher, we're going to be in a position to lend at 3% and 3.5%. And that's rates from 2 weeks ago. So until the bank decides to control its capacity and maintain its profits and do some of the other things that the big banks are doing, which in turn affects the brokers who are correspondent lenders, right? This whole ripple effect. You're going to also see that the correspondent lending situation is going to change drastically because the big banks that lend all the money, predominantly to a lot of the people that we know intimately, some of my peers and relationships that I've had for a long time, they're going to get boxed out of having accessibility to some money because the big banks have to control their workflow and their capacity, right? So those are two good points, two questions that, to answer your question, that people want to know, well, what are we doing about rates and what are we doing about being able to fund and close in a timely manner?
Absolutely. Now, do you see any potential challenges? Obviously, you don't have a crystal ball. You don't know what, everything seems to change day by day, but are there any
Yeah.
challenges that you could envision agents or buyers encountering over the next days or weeks that you can see?
Sure. Well, listen, the glaringly obvious challenge is, well, how do you buy a house if you can't go see a house? I don't know the answer to that. I know some people are getting creative and they're using FaceTime and they're using, Zoom and some other means of video help to do that. Matt, it's a great question, but again, I just like asking me what's going to happen tomorrow with rates. Who knows? We know what they are today, and so we deal with it as best we can today.
Well, if I could say, what I am hearing though is the rates that we were talking about a few weeks ago are not the rates today.
No way.
Okay, and so the message I think to the agents right now would be in making sure they're referring their clients to talk to the right lender now.
Right.
And if they're thinking about refining or if they were thinking about purchase, it now would be the time, because if we wait till we get out of this to then start having those conversations, it sounds like, according to what you're saying, the rates are going to be in the normal range, probably 4 or 5.
Yeah, they'll come back down. You bring up, again, you bring up a very good point. So if I get 10 phone calls today, 9 of them are refinances, and I have rates that are as good as I just indicated on a 500 and higher loan amount. Well, not everybody needs $510 or $550,000. I get that. So those people who need in the conforming loan amount, a $300,000 loan, whether it be a purchase or a refi, the message is the same. If you feel that I'm your lender, the guy you want to work with, then let's work. Let's put your loan together. Let's get the appraisal out of the way. Let's do all the essential steps, and let's not get part of the log jam that's going to come. Because if I had 3% today on a conforming loan amount, I'm not ready to take all those loans and take the influx of business that's going to come at once. So you want to be ready and prepared and put yourself in queue so that you have your loan approval. And then when the rates retract, we'll be in a position where you hit a button and you lock it in, you're done.
Right.
Okay, good.
So I guess outside of the mortgage question for you, I would ask, what else do you see happening, the trickle effect from a pandemic like this? What's your opinion on that? Matt and I have been doing a lot of talking about shifting and mindset shifting. But what do you think, from your experience, can you foresee coming from this in our industries?
Yeah, listen, it's like anything else. People pump the brakes, right? This doesn't become real. This whole pandemic thing did not become real until all of a sudden your friend and my associate, my acquaintance, who I just saw 2 weeks ago, came down with it, right? So we all have now it got closer real quick, didn't it? Where we were 30 days ago in thinking, oh, it's a common cold, to where we are today is completely different. Well, the same can be said about people, again, in our business world that are relevant to wanting to buy a house or refinancing. Everyone's dealing with it the same way. I've had people say to me, I'm going to wait. I just lost my job. My company doesn't know what to do. And so my message to them is, okay, while you're doing your own little your household damage control, I'm going to keep your loan request open, right? I'm going to ask you that we keep moving forward, because standing still doesn't do anybody any good. So my message is consistent with my family, right, as it is with my business clients. We're going to be worried about the things we can control, and the things, I say again, the things we can't control, you can't control. But if in the meantime you can prepare people and supply them with, even if it's a conversation, right, to make them feel like it's normal. I'm on the phone a lot personally with a lot of clients, just having a conversation about what's going on, what movie did you see on Netflix? And so instead of the old book club, I think we're doing a little movie club.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Christine Van Reeth asked us earlier, give us some tips on how to stay positive and how to keep, to keep some people, give some tips of how to keep some people's mindset where it is. I know you're really great with your schedule And I know
Yeah.
working out is something that's super important to you. So can you talk a little bit about like what you're personally doing to get through this
Sure.
time to keep,
Oh,
yourself
okay.
where you're at?
Sure. So the way I start my day is going to be different than the way you two may start your day. But whatever it is, you have a routine, I have a routine, right? Exercise is just one component of it. And I think it's important that whether it's you start your day by catching up on the news and going through your phone, that's fine. I get out of bed and I have to go work out. It's for my mind as much as it is for my body. And at this point, my routine is different, right? Because I can't go to my gym. So what I do, I go in my garage. And what do I do in my garage? Well, I can skip rope. I can do a push-up. I could do sit-ups. I could jog in place if I want to. So there's a lot of things that are not going to be as exciting and as colorful as you may think they once were. But what I will say to you is, interestingly enough, because again, I go to the gym every day. Some days are better than others. Some nights carry over to the next morning and you don't feel like going, but I still go. My workouts this past couple weeks have been as good, if not better, in my garage because I got back to basics. I'm doing things that I have to be creative with. So we all know that as humans, we're pretty powerful and impressive beings. Well, use your power internally and go figure it out. If it's not working out, then you find a place to go walk. If it's not something that's conventionally the same way where you used to have your cup of coffee with your buddies or your girlfriends, well, do some of this. Use Zoom. Use some of your resources. You can still communicate with people, right? So I hope that answered your question, but that's
no,
what I'm doing.
I mean, in our world, we usually have our 8:30 stand up. So we've been doing a virtual Zoom stand up so that I could still at least see the
There you
team
go.
and
Right.
feed off the energy that we usually do. So
Sure. Good stuff.
go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, no,
It's important. It's important to see people smile.
Yeah.
I mean, you're smiling. Matt, look, there's Matt smile. Look at that. So that's good. You have to. Because we're all going to
Where's Shiny? I miss Shiny. Where's she at?
She's not.
She's not
We'll have to
there.
get on. We'll get on to the next one.
But it is funny you say that because Mary Beth and I were even talking last week. Like we were doing everything over the phone for a while, and then we finally did Zoom. And it was like there you are. Like it gives a different energy and a different way of viewing the situation.
And let's put it this way: I'm in each one of your homes right now. Mm-hmm. Now I know a little bit more about you guys that I once did, right, Mary Beth? I know what your view looks like. Matt, I know where you're sitting. You haven't found, and you guys know my view. I'm in this little crossway. Crossway between the garage, right? There's the. Can you see the garage?
Usually the mud room. You don't have any sink there.
There's the garage. Well, there's my what is that? My what do you call that? The pantry.
Pantry.
And then that's it. And then there's this door that goes into the kitchen. So, whatever. I'm in your house. You're in my house. Now we just broke bread and we're at a whole different level. Good.
Yeah. All right. So one more question. If you were giving our agents some guidance on who to prospect right now and to be able to refer them over to you, what would you tell them to call people with? What would you?
Okay. So again, this is the part that I've referred to as, if this is going to benefit me in some way, shape, or form by answering it, then here's my plug again, right? What I'm certain my sweet spot is right now is that piece of business that I identified with the interest rates. Okay, so that's an easier conversation. Anybody that has a loan amount 5, 10 or higher that hasn't locked in, that's thinking about buying a house, they have to call me because I have yesterday's rates today, and I don't even know how long I'll hold on to them. But today we went through one rate change on my portfolio product, and I emphasize this because there's a lot of other mortgage people that people are friends with and that do business with, and no problem, stay with those relationships. But I'm an option, and as an option is today, when you're with a bank that controls the money. So in the past 2 weeks, we've seen normal conforming loan amounts go up a full 100 basis points. That means we went from 3 1/8 over 4 1/8. That's real. In this one product, 5, 10 or higher up to $2 million, we only saw a quarter raise, 0.25. I was at 3.25 last Wednesday. And I just took a rate increase of a quarter this past Friday. So there's some people that are on this call that are listening that took advantage of it. They know who they are. And so I'd love to be top of mind when realtors are thinking, all right, how can I help keep my deal together? You want to keep your deal together? If it's that loan in that space, I'm an option for you, right? The other is, if you have anybody, first-time home buyer or anyone else that's a loan amount below that, I still would like to think I'm an option because I can talk them through some of this. And this is the time where experience matters. You can't trump experience. I'm sorry, you just can't. You could put bells and whistles all over things. You could say I'm faster because I know technology better, and this is better. That you can have it all. All I profess to do is I'm a resource. I will be able to share, and if nothing else, take that person that wants to truly buy that house but may have a reservation about why they want to buy that house and talk them through it, just relative to who we are as people. And I believe buying real estate is the same great opportunity today that it was 10 years ago, 20, 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. So I'm a proponent of that, not because I'm in the mortgage industry, but because I'm a guy who invests in real estate.
Yeah.
Right.
Great. Right. Well, are there any closing thoughts? I mean, I think that's a good way to sum up everything you want to deliver. Is there anything that you want to close out with?
Me personally?
Yeah. Is there anything you want to add?
Guys, this was totally unscripted.
Yep.
You gave me very little notice. You said, Mary Beth, do you want to get on a call? I'm like, okay. I didn't know what this was. And it wasn't until 2 minutes before you said, oh, we're going to talk about your business and the relevance in the okay. Well, we went around the block here a few different ways. And again, I love doing this. And if I can help and add value to other, forums and things you guys want to do, sure, include me. But I really enjoyed the opportunity, and I feel like I accomplished something today.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think it would be. I would think it would be wise if we could, and we'll figure it out, Matt and I, if we could set up a time once a week at least.
Sure.
Well, yeah, I think our plan was to have Mortgage Mondays from 1 to 2 o'clock. So maybe we can rotate. We'll talk about this offline, but I think over the next 3 Mondays, let's continue to do this. So target that in your calendar.
Yeah, great. Well, listen. I was kidding earlier, and I'm one voice, right? There's plenty of other voices, and people can speak to it differently, and not everyone wants to hear me talk about it either. I get that. So again, in the true spirit of us coming out of this collectively and being better for it, I'm certain that my alignment with KW Prosperity is one of the best decisions I've made in my tenure in the mortgage industry. And I mean that because you guys are doing things like this. I have other relationships for a very long time with realtors that they're not getting out of their own way right now. Some of the most savvy people are alone. You understand that? That means they're alone. They're top producers, but they're left to their own accord to try to figure this out. And they don't know what to do. So there's the strength in numbers. You guys have each other. I'm part of that. I'm fortunate for that. And I'm certain it's going to help, bridge the gap and get us all through it. So thank you.
We are very happy.
I can say that I have full confidence that your team, it sounds like your team can take us through these times to make sure that we're not skipping a beat. We can still close. You're still willing, flexible, available. Just the same as you're saying about some agents, we also know that some mortgage representatives are probably not knowing what to do either. So we're glad to know that we're in business with you. And the only challenge I think we might come up with is maybe some appraisal situations, which I think we're going to be able to be creative around that. I mean, we have drones nowadays, right?
Yeah.
We have homeowners that are living in the house.
Okay. Well, one last thing. And again, if people are still tuned into this, I wish we talked about it a little earlier because that's a very good point. We can do.
No, go ahead. We have a few minutes.
We can do Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae waivers. So we don't need to do. You'd be surprised. We don't need to do a lot of interior inspections or even drive-bys. Okay. So there are chances that there's some latitude with that. Certainly purchases less latitude, but there is latitude where we get the right kind of scenario that fits, and we can work with that. So our appraisers, our contract appraisers, I've had conversations with them, and again, this is just an example, right? Not every mortgage person is going to pick up the phone and call and can call appraisers because there's a restriction to that. I'm not a regular loan officer in the sense I'm a regional sales leader. So I have a level of management that I'm able to have the intelligent conversation. And the conversation is not about, did you bring the value in? No, the conversation is about, what's your workload? How can I make it easier for you? How can I prioritize for you, okay, those loans? And these appraisers are human, right? They're guys and girls that need to make money. And if they're getting paid more money from one company over another, I want to know that. I don't want to be at a disadvantage. And I know we pay our appraisers more than those in my backyard. And that's for a reason, because I just want them to know that we're here. We're going to give them the business, you know, market in, market out. And I just want some communication around any challenges they may be having, to your point of getting into a home and those kinds of things.
Well, I think you did also another good job at displaying where your experience comes in as a benefit to the clients and to the agents, because there's one thing to say that I have experience and I've been in the business for years and I've seen this or whatnot. When you can actually turn it into a benefit for the client, that's when it's the what's in it for me syndrome kicks in, and that's where we form a great business relationship, and we're proud to be in business. So.
Yeah, without the customer, who do we have? We can be on these calls, but we don't have anything else. So good stuff.
All right. So Matt, you want to close it out?
Yes, thanks, John, for coming on today, and we'll definitely continue with these Mortgage Mondays. I think this was very helpful for our agents. I'll be posting this on our agent community shortly, and thank you again, and have a great rest of your day.
All right, you guys. Take care, guys.
Thanks, John.
Take care. Bye. See you.